Hey beginner, welcome back to Things No One Cares About, featuring me and my YouTube channel. You've been trudging across the barren countryside for a while now. It has been raining this entire time, but here in rain, that's quite normal. At the moment, however, it is raining especially hard, to a most uncomfortable degree. That's hard to read. Yet the moon is still visible high in the sky, casting light over the hills. Up ahead, you can see the silhouette of the stranger you've been following, although you've been careful to keep a distance from them. You're waiting for an opportunity to approach them, get them to trust you, as this is what you were hired to do. There's not been any opportunities to gain their trust so far though, due to them spending all their time wandering along the stormy countryside. You can't just run up to them and be like, "Trust me now." That would never work. Needs to be an organic introduction that you orchestrated artificially. This stranger is potentially quite dangerous. If you mess this up, they might kill you. If they don't, then your employer might kill you anyways. While you're so absorbed in... What is that word? Stewing over this situation, the silhouette ahead of you passes over a hill and disappears from sight. You hurry after it. God, that hurts. As you cross over the hill, you look down the road to find that the stranger is completely gone now. Well then. Meanwhile, the storm is getting worse, not unlike the metaphorical storm brewing in your head as you realize you're probably screwed. Scanning the surrounding hills, you can't see the silhouette anywhere, but it's getting difficult to tell with the rain wind pelting your eyes. You quickly scramble down the hill in desperate search of your mark, only for something to suddenly make an impact with the back of your head. I like the writing so far. Ugh, and I love that my throat is in tremendous pain. Hey, subscribe. Do that thing. Oh, hello. Oh, they're cute. I like it. This game has a very neat art style. This is the stranger you were hired to kill. Taking in your present circumstances, you deduce that your arms and legs are currently bound, and the stranger has a very disgruntled look on there. I wouldn't call that a disgruntled look. This leads you to conclude that the only one in danger of being killed right now is you. The stranger apologizes for having ambushed you, explaining that they did it after noticing you were stalking them across the hills. You decide that you should clarify? You point out that you were not stalking them, you were following them. You try to sound as rational as possible, but they still look back at you like you're a lunatic. The stranger goes thoughtfully silent. You take this time to appreciate the incredibly derelict cabin you're now trapped in. The storm is still raging outside, and through the window you can see the countryside you were just recently walking around in. Whatever species this stranger is, you've never seen it before, although it generally resembles your own. You can confidently presume they're likely female. While you were distracted by trying to determine if the stranger has breasts or not, she suddenly asks you if she suddenly asks if you were hired to do this by a corpse wearing yellow. You assume she is not talking about you being... Dang it! That happens to be a funny coincidence considering you were literally hired by a corpse wearing yellow to do exactly that. You should probably... I'm gonna lie so you don't die. The game is called Lie or Die. But, like, maybe I could team up with this lady and not die by the person that hired me. I don't want to lie to her. You admit that a corpse in yellow hired you to gain her trust and learn from her where to find the pure spring of water only her species knows the location of. At the end of your incriminating rant, you add that you were also told to kill her after you got the information the corpse in yellow wanted. For some reason, you expected her to be pleased with you openly betraying her. Then she says that she kind of has to kill you now, since if she lets you go, you might come after her again. You immediately begin to... grovel. I'm gonna grovel a lot. Frantically begging for your life, you attempt to appear... Jesus Christ. You attempt to appear so miserable that killing you would just be too Does that say cringy? To bother with. Eventually, she stops paying attention. Her gaze lingers slightly, as if she's thinking excessively hard about something. She awkwardly explains that she's never actually killed anything before, and thus she doesn't really know how. Oh, okay, thank God. She then asks if you could tell her how to, like, kill someone, as if she thinks you don't realize she's going to use that knowledge against you. Just tell her to kill someone. You just gotta... Never mind. Don't listen to me. Now, on one hand, you find this to be incredibly adorable in a very fringe, bordering on morbid kind of way. That is adorable. If I was kidnapped and then my kidnapper was a little cute girl and she was like, how do I kill people? On the other hand, she's asking you how to kill you. And so she's smiling though. So like, strangely, you found yourself unable to resist telling her how she could kill you. Then you remember that the corpse wearing yellow warned you about. Her species possesses a unique attribute known as cuteness. This game is ridiculous. I love it. Which subconsciously manipulates others into being nice to them. Before you know it, you've told her how she could probably just drop something heavy on your head to instantly crush you to death. You wonder why your murder advice just now was so exceptionally brutal, considering you know who the victim is going to be. I keep hearing noises. I like the music in this game. She begins sifting around for something heavy enough to use, rummaging around her backpack before giving up in futility. She proceeds to leave the cabin, furious wind and rain bellowing through the doorway when she does. I mean, isn't that window open? Oh, after a brief period, she comes back holding a rather sizable rock in her hands. How convenient for a rock that big to be within stepping distance of this cabin. She asks you if she asks if you think this she asks if you think this rock will be big enough to crush your head. I feel like this is a dating sim. You tell her it probably Okay, so the thing is, if I say it probably isn't, she's either gonna go get something else or she can't lift anything else that she tries to get. If I says it should be fine, I might survive. I'm gonna go with it probably isn't, because maybe she won't be able to get anything else. She apologizes as if it's her fault she doesn't know the exact ratio of rock size versus head crushing potential. Oh my god, can I read that again? She apologizes as if it's her own fault she doesn't know the exact ratio of rock size versus head crushing potential. That is an amazing sentence. She leaves the cabin again, probably to go find a larger rock. Now that her cute face isn't here to screw with your emotions, you begin struggling against the binds around your wrists and ankles. You straighten up innocently as she walks back in, carrying... She asks if you think this rock will be big enough to kill you. Your response is... I can't even say no. Extreme panic. You abandon what little dignity you had in the situation and began to aggressively thrash at your binds. You can tell it's making her feel guilty. The rock looms over you while she starts to raise it up in her arms, the wind outside howling as if it's egging her on. She pauses, although you can't tell if it's because she's having second thoughts or she's just struggling to hold up your imminent doom in her hands. The wind is borderline shaking the cabin around you at this point. You realize that one of her legs looks painfully crooked all of a sudden. She hasn't noticed. Ooh. And so you mention that she looks hurt. Before she can manage to drop the rock on your head, you sharply point out that something seems to be wrong with one of her legs. Can I just like go against the yellow man? Because she's so cute. Although you didn't really expect her to believe you, she almost immediately looks down to see her leg is bent sideways at the joint. Jeez! Her eyes widen and she drops the rock in a panic. You fail to not squeak pitifully as it crashes onto the floor directly beside you. Okay. She stumbles backwards and sits down, mumbling to herself while she examines her legs. She doesn't actually seem to be in any pain. She pulls one of her stockings down to expose her crooked limb. This would be mildly suggestive if her leg wasn't made of old clockwork. Aw, man. Constructed from a variety of metal rods, gears, and bracings, it only vaguely resembles a leg, even less so with the joints bent sideways. So she's doesn't have a leg. The wind has quieted down now, enough for you to hear her grumble that the weight of carrying the rot probably messed up the clockwork. She tugs down her other stocking to examine the opposite leg, which is also a mechanical. Ugh, but seems to still be intact. That's a shame. Pulling her stockings back up, she rests her head on one hand and just kind of looks at nothing for a while. Look at her face! All her little emotions are so cute. Eventually, she awkwardly thanks you for the warning, otherwise her leg might be completely broken under the strain. Your response is... ask her if she needs help. I'm not giving her ideas. She mumbles something about going to a smith back in town. Standing back up, she limps over to you and unravels the rope around your wrists and ankles. She goes over to her backpack and stuffs the rope inside. Ah, crap! I keep clicking. Your suspicion is basically confirmed as picks up her backpack and leaves the cabin without saying anything else. She let me go! Quickly standing, you rush over to the door in hopes of catching up with her before she disappears again. But just as you open the door and go to take your first step outside, the wind sharply blows the door shut in your face. Ow. You extravagantly stumble backwards before falling over and bashing your head against the giant rock still lying on the... Did I die anyway? Imbecile. Oh, is that my body? Oh. Oh, I'm like a devil creature. That's funny. That's funny. I'm gonna do that again. I wonder how many endings there are. This is, like, I love the art style. It's very cute. I like the writing, too. The writing is really funny. The stranger apologizes. You decide you should be quiet. Yeah, because last time I told her I was stalking her. You don't say anything. In response, the stranger narrows their eyes while their ears twitch in annoyance. The stranger goes thoughtfully silent. You take this time to appreciate... Okay, so she's not gonna kill me now. While you are distracted by trying to determine if the stranger has breasts or not, she suddenly asks if you were hired to do this by a corpse wearing yellow. You assume she's not talking about you being hired to stare at her chest, and is instead referring to you being hired to stalk her. Oh my god, that happens to be a funny coincidence considering you were literally hired by a corpse wearing yellow to do exactly that. You should probably... I'm gonna lie. The corpse in yellow prepared you for this with the advice lie or die, and you find yourself to be extremely partial to the former over the latter. Unfortunately, you don't have much experience in lying, so you just kind of blurt out whatever nonsense you can possibly imagine could get you out of this mess. Before your mind can catch up to your mouth, you've already explained that the reason why you were following her was because you were working up the nerve to ask her. That's adorable! There's brief silence before she questions why you want to ask her about a specific time. You quickly realize she doesn't seem to know what a date is. You opt for just telling her what a date is. Oh, that's so cute. You awkwardly describe how a date is the process of attempting to form a romantic connection through arranged social interaction. That is a good definition. She looks even more confused with your choices now. But so are you, really. This seems like the best way to gain her trust, you think? It takes a bit for her to actually register the situation. Eventually she mumbles that the two of you could hang out or whatever. You're feeling practically desperate, emotionally desperate. I'm gonna say emotionally desperate. We're gonna see how deep this rabbit hole goes. In the wake of this opportunity for friendship, or honestly, social interaction at all, you're consumed by an overwhelming affection. Yay! I got a friend! What? Something about murder? Getting paid enough to live forever? No, no, no. What you really want right now is to befriend this little blue punk. Is she blue? I guess she kinda is blue, huh? You recall something about your employer warning you that her species has the power to manipulate others into being nice to them via a quality known as cuteness. I mean, looks kill, bud. Now, you aren't exactly sure if that's what is happening to you right now, but... For some reason, that didn't register in my head. but you are totally all up in this friendship situation regardless. The entire time you've been going over this in your head, you have just been staring at her vacantly while her ears twitch nervously in response. Alright, no more screwing around. It's all or nothing. Time to befriend the person who currently has you tied up on the floor. Befriending start. It's like Undertale. And what was that stick figure game that Markiplier played? It was like a Western parody. God, I'll put it up on the screen if I think about it. But it's the writing from that and the writing from Undertale and the visuals. It's so good. This game's cool. To break the ice, you ask if she's purposely being cute about the corpse in yellow. Oh, to break the ice, you ask if she's purposely being cute, or you ask about the corpse in yellow. I'm gonna ask if she's purposely being cute. You ask if she's look at her face. Irradiating cuteness to subconsciously manipulate you into liking her. She says no, looking annoyed but clearly flattered. That's awesome. She suddenly counters, questioning what your species is. Your answer is whatever you want it to be. Or the other one is I don't know what that is, so I'm gonna go with this. She laughs at your shallow attempt to flirt with her. At first you think she's pleased, but then you realize it didn't generally. Oh my god. If my camera dies, I'm so sorry. 1 second. Did it work? Yes, okay. She laughs at your shallow attempt to flirt with her. At first you think she's pleased, but then you realize it didn't genuinely build your connection with her at all. You follow up by asking her if she's really a girl. Let's go with where she's traveling to, because asking someone if they're female is not a very good topic of conversation. In today's day and age, you'll get yelled at so fast. Come on, dude. Dude, this is the worst phone ever. Okay, cool. She tells you about her quest to reach the moon, but doesn't mention why she's doing it. You talk about how your species usually spends a lot of time traveling too. Bonding. Bonding! This is fun. You can't really recall having ever talked to anyone like this before. It's a weird feeling, not being alone. A gust of air blows through the window. It is an open window. You're just starting to enjoy yourself right when she abruptly asks whether you are still planning on murdering her or not. Oh, you've forgotten that entirely. Your reaction is to play it honest and cool, play it honest and cringy. You can't make that choice. If we could make that choice, everybody would seem cool. I'm just gonna go with, at least they're both honest. I'm just gonna go honest and cringy, because that's even more honest. You aggressively began to gush about how the only reason you took the job was because you were desperate for what your employer offered. Although she originally looked quite perturbed, she appears more curious now than anything. She questions what your employer offered that was so appealing. You spiral down into a long explanation about your species survives by absorbing moonlight through their skin as sustenance. Normally, your species migrates along with the rotation of the moon to ensure that they're always in its direct gaze, and thus can absorb the most moonlight. However, you're too weak and slow to keep up with the rotating gaze of the moon, which means you will eventually die from lack of exposure to pure moonlight. The corpse in yellow promised that the unique spring... What? The corpse in yellow promised that the unique spring only her species knows the location of... Oh, okay. Contains enough power to sustain any moonborn being forever. Tricking her into revealing his location is your only chance of escaping inevitable death. Jesus. She seems quite moved by your story, her gaze becoming vacant with concern. You are worried she may think this is all just a lie, the wind outside howling faintly. Almost as if she heard you thinking, she suddenly becomes angry and starts shouting about how you're just trying to manipulate her into showing you the spring. To calm her down, you appeal to her loneliness, you appeal to her compassion. I don't know if she's lonely though. Like she's she's like a cyborg. This is a dating sim. This changed so quickly. Well, because I'm more lonely than anything. You start to babble about understanding how she feels, that being lonely just makes it even more difficult to trust people, which just makes you more lonely. This game is sitting way too far close to home. Finding yourself ranting about your own problems again, by the time you've mentioned how much you don't want to die, you're already in tears. Honestly, your self-esteem couldn't get much lower at this point, considering this whole situation that you've put yourself in. Amidst your sobbing, you found her untying the ropes around your wrists and ankles, freeing you from your binds. Dude, stop crying. You shouldn't cry. As you sit up, you can see her cringe, like she's expecting you to attack her now. Oh. You rub the tears off your face and just look up at her a while. Eventually, she relaxes and seems comfortable again. Join me on the floor. She tells you that as badly as she wants to reach the moon, it can wait a little longer. She says she'll lead you to the spring. She admits, though, that once you're there, you won't be allowed to leave. They can't risk the corpse in yellow ever learning where it's located. You tell her you're fine with that. Only fool. Ah. Aw, but we're so cute. God. I want all the endings. I want all of them. I've been recording for half an hour. All right, well, I'm going to end the video here. This was a very interesting game. I really liked it. But yeah, I'm going to end the video here. If you like this video, like it. If you like this video and my wondrous personality, you should subscribe. Or don't subscribe, but like, honestly, if you don't like my content, you can unsubscribe later, and it doesn't cost money to subscribe, like on Twitch. So yeah, just subscribe, guys. Yeah. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year so I can start making a profit from this, so I can pay my house bills. And, you know, check out this stuff, and just go in the description. If you like what I do, just go see more of it, you know? It's there for you. So, yeah. I'm Kain, and I'm signing off. I'm definitely going to play more of this. I promise.